If you're an artist, I have a very simple message for you today. I want you to start sharing your work. After 20 years of making art, I've been a professional illustrator. I've worked with brands like Disney, Champ Sports, children's book, gaming studios, and things like that. I've noticed throughout all of these years of creating and meeting other artists, and that is that they don't have a lack of talent. What they have is a lack of confidence. This happens with younger artists where they'll tell me that they do art, that might be fine art, it might be illustration, anything like that. And I'll ask them like, oh, do you have a sketchbook? Can I see some of your work? And it's always this like timid, afraid to show kind of thing. And some of these artists have shared incredible stuff. Things that I look at, I'm like, I don't even paint that way. So again, this is proof, it's not a lack of talent, but a fear. And I want to talk about that in this video today because I've noticed that a lot of times you might even feel like, well, I'm not really afraid to share my work. I have a portfolio site where I put my work up there and stuff, and that might feel comfortable. But here's the thing, when you post your work on a portfolio site, you don't have to worry about judgment. You don't have to worry about feedback or somebody posting a comment, things like that. But when you share your work in person, when you put it in a local art show or you're sharing it with friends and family, or even if you're posting it on social media, now that's a little bit of a different feeling because now there you are going to get a reaction. And this is when you start to think, is my work good enough? Or my perspective is a little off and somebody's gonna call me out on like this arm looks a little weird. Or perhaps, this is not really as good as the last thing that I posted. And in this video, I wanna show you how to overcome that. And by overcoming that, the immense impact that that'll have on your creative career and art journey. You might be thinking that, oh, well, I'm afraid to share, or I don't share as constantly or as consistently because I'm afraid that my work is not good enough. But many times, it's actually not that you're afraid that your work is not good enough. It's that you're afraid of the feedback or the judgment that people are going to make on your work. You're afraid of how they'll respond to it. You're afraid of what they think about it. Or even worse, you're afraid about silence, that they won't have anything to say about it. And I can understand that because it's hard when somebody judges your work, when somebody has negative things to say about whatever it is that you're making. It's hard not to take that personal because it almost feels like they're making a judgment on you because it's something that came out of you. It's something that you made. And I understand that that could be difficult. However, that shouldn't be something that keeps us from moving forward, from sharing our work. I have an art exhibit coming up where I'm gonna be sharing some of these paintings that I have back here. You probably can't see them, but I have about 4 different paintings that I'm gonna be dropping off. I just know that, because I've done this before, and what happens is that you show up to this place, you go to drop off your paintings, and it's not so much the people that work there, it's when you start to see other artists' work just laying around or getting ready to be, hung up for the show. And now you just start to think, oh, is my work good enough to be here? Or is it gonna be able to stand out? And those kinds of things will often keep us from even entering our art into a show. We'll start to think I don't know if I'm ready for that show. You have a painting and it's ready to go, but you're thinking, I don't know if it'll measure up. You haven't even submitted it to see if it gets accepted or rejected. You just make that assumption. We keep our work hidden, and we keep our work hidden because that feels safe. It feels safe because you're like, well, if nobody sees it, then nobody really can say anything bad about it. But here's the problem, that comes at a cost because you might be thinking, well, what if I want to make art just for myself? What if I just want to make it for my eyes only, and this is something that I just enjoy doing? That's fine. I think there's people out there that want to do that. But I have a feeling that if you're watching this video and if you've gotten this far into it, I have a feeling that you make art in order to share it with people, in order to put it out into the world. Because you have a message. You have a message that you want to share through your art. And it doesn't have to be this crazy world-changing message. It could be humor. Something more emotional. It could be something serious. It could be to share the gospel. And that is what I call your visual voice. And God gave you a visual voice so that you can share it. And that reminds me of a scripture that I know I've shared a million times before, but I'm going to share it again. It's Luke 8:16, and it says, "No one after lighting a lamp covers it with a basket or puts it under a bed, but puts it on a lampstand so that those who come in may see its light." So you don't make things to just keep them hidden. You don't make things to keep them in your sketchbook. You don't make paintings to keep them in your closet. You make them because you have, as I said, a visual voice. God gave you a visual voice, and you want to express that through your work. What you're lacking is confidence. And here's the thing that I learned about confidence. You can't just sit and wait until you're confident. Like, okay, one day I'm gonna just feel confident. I'm just gonna wait. And if you sit there waiting, you're gonna be waiting until Jesus returns. You know, like you're just gonna be waiting for it to happen. It's just never gonna happen. That's just not the way that it works. So in order to get confident, in order to gain confidence, you have to change the why on why you share your work. You have to change it from sharing it in order to get approval from people, and change it to in order to feel more comfortable showing up. Because the more consistent you are in showing up, the more consistent you're gonna be in making work, and the more impactful your visual voice will be. And so that's just gonna come naturally. You know, confidence is a result of sharing your work. It's not a requirement to share your work. It's not something that you don't wait to receive confidence and then say, okay, I'm gonna start posting now. You post and you post and you do it consistently, and you share finished things and you share unfinished drawings. And eventually, the more that you do that, the more that you do it consistently, you'll start to see that confidence building up, and you'll start to see that your visual voice will begin to become stronger. You'll be more bolder with the things that you're trying to communicate with each piece. So I want you to take a step of faith this week, or I want you to do it several times. I want you to share something. Even if it's unfinished, even if it's not your best work, just share it and post it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to post it and say, oh, I didn't spend enough time on this. I didn't finish it. Don't do any of that. Just share it and then move on to the next piece. I want to encourage you today that your work doesn't need permission to exist. It just needs your confidence behind it. And sharing it boldly, sharing that message, that visual voice of yours without hesitation over and over again, that, my friends, is how your confidence will be built over time. So I pray that this video blessed you. I pray that you begin to share more boldly and continue to build that visual voice that God has put inside of you. Keep the fire alive, my friends.